Okay, welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We have reached episode 62. It is the Jason Kelsey episode. I don't know if Grant, that's who he had. He's probably still panicked because he was looking for his wallet, but
Oh, it was
sounds
awful.
like we found it. We found it. It is Thursday, January 26th, 2023. We've got the AFC and NFC conference championship set. We're going to preview that. But before we do, we're going to recap the best weekend of football, the divisional rounds. But Grant, we have to hear this story, okay? So how did you I get this text at about 6:30. Hey, I'm missing my wallet. I don't know where it is. I'm going to be a little late. So, Grant, just let me do the drum roll here.
So, randomly about 7:15 Central Time here, I'm looking over at the clock as I'm upstairs and I'm thinking, all right, time to get rolling here soon. Let's get recording here at 7:30 and in my sweatshirt, I have my car keys and my house key in my right pocket and nothing in my left front pocket. And I instantly go, "Oh no, this is awful." Because I always have my keys and wallet on me, no matter where I go. So kind of the backstory of it is after work today, um, I went to the gym and got a nice little bicep and back workout in. But when I go to work every day, Dylan, I have a zipper or compartment in my backpack, and my keys and wallet go in there. They're always hand in hand. So I get off work, I drive to the gym. When I go inside, I have my Nike duffel bag. I open up my backpack. I put my keys and wallet in said bag. Go in, get a workout, change, and then come home. Well, when I got done with my workout, I grabbed my keys out. I put them in my sweatshirt, and I put what I think I put my wallet in there too, and I zip it and I forget about it. And then I come home, park, go inside, grab some dinner. We're hanging out. Life is good. And then all of a sudden, I randomly thought, oh, 7:15, let's get going. And I look, like I said, keys and wallet are always together. One's in the right hand pocket with a zipper, other one's in the left hand pocket with a zipper. But there's nothing in my left front pocket, and the zipper is open. And my
Uh-oh.
heart instantly goes to my stomach. Oh my God, I left it at the gym. It's on the street somewhere. Someone ran over it. Someone has already taken my wallet and spent $3,000 on a flight to Paris. Someone is buying all sorts of new clothes. Someone just bought an engagement ring. I'm screwed. So I call the gym, and I should have known this phone call was going to be a disaster. When the first thing she answers the phone, she goes, "LA Fitness, can you hold?" I was probably on hold for 3 minutes. Don't hear anything, and you give the spiel. Yeah, was working out earlier. I might have left my wallet there. Yada yada yada. And she
Did
goes,
you work at this LA Fitness before?
"I did not work at said LA Fitness.
Okay.
No.
Cuz that's where you lost it at, right?
Yes.
Okay.
LA Fitness in Hopkins. Uh,
Got it.
Ethan worked there. Ethan actually worked there for about a month and a half. But the front desk employee was not much help because then after being on hold for about 3 minutes, the employee goes, "Well, I've been here all night. No one's brought me anything, and our manager's in tomorrow at 9 o'clock." And I said, "Well, I was in by about 5 o'clock. If that helps, if you said you'd been there all night." "Well, no, I got here at 6 and it wasn't then, so you can just call back tomorrow," and hangs up on me.
Ah.
So you didn't check, and so
Clearly, they were not trained by you in the art of customer service when they worked at uh, LA Fitness. Your guys' paths did not
did not
cross.
cross paths. That no, um, nothing there. And then I'm kind of panic mode, and then all of a sudden, Alec, the roommate goes, "Hey, I found it." Guess what? Right underneath my nose. It was on the couch where I was sitting. I just didn't look hard enough.
Isn't that funny? That's usually the way it goes.
Oh, it's almost embarrassing where it's like, hey, I need to check every single place where I was just at to see if I can find this. And you think you check. Well, you don't. You look at one cushion, but you don't look at the other cushion, and it's right there. And life is good, and we're here. I have my wallet. Did not lose any credit cards. Did not need to call the bank. I have my cash. So a little scared on Monday, but we're good.
We're good. That's good. Yeah, that's always funny though too because like there's times too like where it's like where you have that like you're getting ready to leave wherever you're going. You're checking
Mm-hmm.
what else? I got pants on. I got a shirt on,
Do you have your
All right,
belt? You got your
keys.
belt.
Keys.
Keys.
Where are my keys? Keys. Say this is keys. Where are my keys?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking everywhere. Oh, they're in my. It's right in my hand. I'm an idiot.
Well, and then what's also funny, Dylan, is because we're degenerates. I naturally go. So this is how this week is going to go. I lose my wallet on Monday, and the Chiefs are going to get steamrolled on Sunday. This is a fantastic week.
Well, it depends. We try to be the mirror of positivity on this podcast,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you know,
But
hopefully that means losing a wallet in the couch. That just means the week is only on an upward trajectory.
exactly. And
But then again, the game is on Sunday, so that's technically the start of a new week, and so
well,
I guess it doesn't really count. So you could have a great week this week. It just doesn't matter because the new week starts on Sunday.
well, technically, I'm going to go by my work week schedule, and the work week started today and ends on Sunday. So just to stick with the story, I'm gonna stick with that. But like I said, it's kind of funny. That's right where my head went. Like, oh, lost my wallet. Yep, and then they're gonna lose on Sunday. Sick. I'm thriving right now.
Yeah, that is hopefully your week gets better. Hopefully everybody shows up for work. Hopefully you get all your shipments in that you ordered. So the fine people of Minneapolis are able to get their meat for their barbecue, tailgate, whatever they're doing for for Championship Sunday.
Big thing I'm worried about, dude, is man, we sell the absolute crap out of some chicken wings.
Uh-huh.
So fingers crossed we can get those shipments in this week, because if we can, we're gonna be cooking, pun very much intended. And if not, we're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah. That well, chicken wings are back. There's not a shortage anymore,
Nope.
if I remember correctly. That's good. Chicken wings, is that what you had for supper tonight?
No, you should know me, my guy. The Grand Staple. I got done with the workout and went to Chipotle.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Just rubbing it in that I can't get Chipotle.
I don't try to rub it in, but maybe besides football, golf, and working out and hanging out with friends, that might be my fifth favorite thing in the world. And it's just so convenient that it's on the way home,
There you go.
right off the highway. Um, it doesn't. It might take me 3 minutes longer to get home if I have to quick pit stop. So why would you not get Chipotle?
There you go. Yeah, I did not get Chipotle for supper. That that's reserved for when I go visit bigger cities. And I don't know when I'm going to a bigger city next,
Well, you're going to
but
Nashville this summer,
I am, but that's
but
also a place though too. It's like,
yeah,
you know, if I'm going somewhere like Nashville, I don't really get much of a say on where we eat because there's some people in my family that are pickier than others
not
when
to
it
name
comes to
names, we're putting
eating.
people on blast.
I think there's the people who listen, they know who I'm talking about in the family.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I will say great at picking restaurants. I have no complaints. But, for me, if like last time I really only got one shot to decide where we were eating,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "You know what? We're going to Waffle House." So when we went to Florida last year, we went to Waffle House for the first time. 1,000 Grand Slam. I'm an All-American,
I see.
and
I see what you
yeah,
did there. I see what you
it
did
was
there.
it was an All-American pick. And if that's the one, if I get one opportunity to pick again this year, I'm gonna rock with the Waffle House,
Well, and if
and
you
it's
think,
in the heart of the South, so it's gonna be fantastic.
well, and there's going to be 6, everywhere. Like within a 10-mile radius, there's going to be 6 of them.
Absolutely.
Well, and if you think about it, but speaking of your Nashville trip, if you want to get Chipotle, maybe the Nashville airport has something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never been. I know 3 people who have been to Nashville. They haven't said great things about the airport, but the city's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard the airport's not great, but you know what? I'm not gonna be there for very long. So you know what? As long as they get my luggage there, and I don't have any delayed flights, we get smoothly over to the hotel, and we can go, you know, do some go do some honky tonkin, and I'm not gonna complain too much about the airport.
Now, like I said, luggage is there. They can get you to your taxi or your Uber or your rental car. That's all you need.
Exactly, exactly. So is that the so you had your Chipotle for the week? Is the rest of it chicken breasts and carrots?
Prop,
Is that your on the menu?
most likely, probably often, some chicken breasts, some carrots, some spinach because I'm a rabbit. You're welcome, Derek.
While you're watching Siesta Key?
Actually, last week was the season finale of Siesta Key.
Oh,
So I don't know what bad TV I'm going to watch now. Now that Siesta Key is over, which is just a shame.
well, I mean, I have some suggestions.
I mean,
You
Yellowstone might be an option.
Yeah, are you how far are you on season 3?
In episode 4, and
Okay.
it is a heavy hitter. I tell you what, man. So when we find out what Jamie did when Beth was younger,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I knew it was going to go south when, one, they were going to the reservation, and two, when that receptionist said the word sterilization. I
Sterilization.
was like,
Yeah.
oh boy, oh this is going to hurt. This is going to be uncomfortable to watch. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
that
mean,
wolf is still following Casey, and Casey's my guy, and I'm worried he's going to do something stupid.
oh no. Casey does everything in the best interest for his family.
Oh, and that can still be stupid.
Yes.
So we'll stay tuned for that, folks.
Yeah. Well, you'll probably well, now that your Siesta Key is done, you'll have plenty of time to
Yeah,
binge that once you're done.
plenty of time to binge watch that. Absolutely,
So, yeah, that. Do you have Paramount Plus yet?
I do.
You do. Well, I mean, there's a couple good ones.
I
Tulsa King.
Tulsa King.
You know, I know you're a big Oklahoma guy, so
Yeah, big.
Tulsa King is a good one.
And then Mayor of Kingstown, I've been told, is good.
Yeah, I've heard that's good. I haven't watched that yet. You got 1880. You can once you finish Yellowstone, you can watch 1883
And then what?
and then
1923.
1923, yeah, which is going on right now.
A little Star Wars action. We're going back to
Yeah.
kind of in the timeline. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like prequels,
Yeah.
and
Yes. Yes.
it's pretty cool just to see how it was, what kind of laid the foundation and how it the ranch got from see where it started to where it is now. Pretty cool, and I know they're gonna be coming out with another season in 1923 whenever this one's done. Trying to think. Ted Lasso, that's another good one. I've got 2 episodes left of that.
Because what, season 3 comes out soon. I know.
I don't know if they've announced it yet.
Okay.
I don't think they have. But and if you are watching, you guys have noticed that Ethan is not with us. He is checking out his new dog. So hopefully next week when he is on, he's going to be able to join us. So it's just the two guys not drinking wine. We're just having a conversation, just catching up, talking some football, talking this weekend. We start. Grant's got the Chiefs jersey on for the fifth, or sweatshirt on for the 5th year in a row. The Chiefs are playing for a spot in the Super Bowl.
And for the 5th year in a row at the home stadium.
Yep. I guess I hate that I have to call it this, but it is technically the Arrowhead Invitational. I guess 5 times it's a thing, and it's basically the Arrowhead Invitational. The Chiefs beat Jaguars 27-20, and what could come be a costly victory for the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes got injured with a the dreaded high ankle sprain, but credit to him. I don't know what the Chiefs medical staff did. I'm guessing they shot that leg up with something, and
Probably some
you know
cortisone.
you yeah you could definitely tell it limited him. He didn't have that maneuver maneuverability that he's used to, where he's able to break out of the pocket and scramble, allow his receivers to get open down the field. But he still found Travis Kelsey for 14 catches. It was a questionable game plan, I thought, to put it nicely, for the Jaguars defensively, where there wasn't anybody on the team that was going to beat you other than 87, and he still had 14 catches. On the offense, they it felt like they were running the ball really well, but Peterson, being the Andy Reid disciple that he is, doesn't like running the ball, which I thought if they did that a little bit more, I think we might have had a different outcome. And can't say enough about Chad Henne to have a 98 after Mahomes gets hurt. Jacksonville punts, and a great punt by Jacksonville to go to the 2 yard line of Kansas City, and he leads them on a 98-yard drive and just slung the ball around, and it looked like they didn't miss a beat. Credit to Andy Reid for believing in him, giving him the confidence, and Chad going out making plays. I mean, it was not going to show a lot on the stat book. He was 5 of 7 for like 23 yards, but they ran the ball effectively, and he made throws when he had to. And in play of football, that's all you got to do.
Well, because just like I say all the time, this isn't gymnastics. There's no style points. As long as I'm scoring more points than my opponent, and that was the case on Saturday. And Dylan, there's a sequence of 2 plays in this game that's going to go unnoticed. That really, I think, swung the direction, of this game. It was, I believe, at the time it was 17-7. The Jags, they're in the Chiefs territory, and they're getting ready. This was, I think, before the punt. They're at least in field goal range, and then Frank Clark comes out of nowhere, just absolutely bullies the Jaguars left tackle, and then he falls. He gets called for tripping, so they back him up 15 yards. They're still in field goal range with that. I'm sorry, I think it was 10-7 at this point. But then the next play,
Yep.
Frank comes in and he gets a sack. He got that sack, and it took the Jags out of field goal range. And then on the next play, the third down play, the receiver drops a pass, which
That would have put him
which
back
put
into
them back
field goal
in
range.
field
Yep.
goal range, and then they would have had an opportunity at that point to tie the game. And then you got to think, Mahomes is banged up. They just tied the game. The Jags offense is feeling a little comfortable. To that point, they were maybe starting to get ETN going. And I'm sitting here at home thinking, oh my God, the season's over. The only way this team could be stopped is if there's an injury to number 15. This just happened. All the momentum is gone. This fast, athletic defense in Jacksonville is going to swarm and just attack the Chiefs. And they're going to take this game over, and they're going to lose at home. They're going to be done. They're not even going to win a playoff game this year. But when Frank needed to, he made 2 big plays. And then credit to Andy on that first play of that 98-yard drive. He let Chad throw it. Give him a little confidence. Show the Jags that, hey, we're going to run our offense. We're just not going to sit here and tuck our tail between our legs and punt and give you the ball at midfield. We're gonna attack this day. And then they went down, and they made it 17-7. And that was huge. And then I think they got their confidence back. They got the mojo back, and they were ready to roll going into the second half.
Yeah. And I mean the situational plays, it just shows you how crucial each play matters. Where the tripping, it pushed them back, and then the Chiefs, which they've which has been a staple of the Spags defense since he's been to Kansas City, is their situational pass rush that when they need to make a play, they make a play, whether it is Frank Clark or Chris Jones or somebody where, it makes it tougher to kick a field goal or knocks them out of field goal range. And Jacksonville, that was a critical point in the game too, because Jacksonville was moving the ball up and down the field on them, and then that trip happened, and that drive went pear shaped. They go get a touchdown out of it, and
if I'm not mistaken, earlier, I think in that same drive, that's when Christian Kirk maybe just fell down and missed that long touchdown pass. I think that the Kirk play was a first down deep shot, and then
yeah, you're right. Or no,
sorry,
was that in the second half? I can't remember.
but what it was somewhere around there on a big play like that, where they're going that same direction, where it's like, he's got to have that, and he just stumbled and he missed it.
Yep. Well, and there was, and we can move over to the second half, and where Jacksonville, there were a lot of short passes, and it was kind of like, why, like quick, get it out. They weren't getting much, and they tried to dial it up, and then they sacked Lawrence. Was like, oh, that's why there's no 5 or 7 step drops. But the Jacksonville D hung in there. They kept it close. I think it was, I want to say it was 20-10 at halftime.
17-7
or 17-10, yeah. And at the end of the third, Kansas City sacks Lawrence again, but then they were able to get on a drive, score, get a touchdown, make it 17-20. And this was with 11:49 in the fourth quarter. And this is why Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Kind of backs against the wall. Jacksonville's kind of taking the momentum back. And, no one's really sure what's going to go on with, how that ankle is. So I charted every play down to that drive, and it was an 11 play drive. And, play 1 was an incomplete pass. Play 2, Mahomes to Kelsey for 10 yards. Play 3, incomplete. And I'm thinking, run the ball, Andy. What are you doing? Your quarterback can't move. Run the ball. Take some time off this clock. And then play 5, they finally run it. Jerick McKinnon, 5-yard run. Play 6 was the 5-yard offside penalty, which made it 2nd and inches. And they go, Pat hits Juju for 16 yards, which I think was Juju's only catch of the game. And then play 8, they run it with Pacheco.
He had another catch in the first half, the first time Patrick went sidearm.
Oh, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Pacheco ran it for 7 yards. Play 9, they run an option with Kadarius Toney for a 14-yard run. McKinnon gets a 3-yard run. And then to cap it off, he hits Valdez-Scantling for a 15-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it was gutsy championship drive. They didn't have 1 third down that drive. I think it was basically Canadian football, where it was like, we don't want to get it to third down, because part of third down is Mahomes running the ball, and he's not able to. He did a couple of times, and I'm sure every single Chiefs fan possible gasped, like, oh, God, please don't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. So first and second down, they just – and they got it pretty much every time. And then it was after that where I think Lawrence, when it got down to 20-10, I think Lawrence just decided, you know what? If we're not going to run the ball, I'm going to just start running myself. And then he truck sticked that linebacker for Kansas City. And, they're about to go in to make it 27-24.
Yep.
And then they fumble. And at that point, I put, with 5:29 left, I said ball game.
Yep.
But Kansas City went 3-0. They got the ball back. And then there was a sick one-handed catch And then I wrote definitely ball game. And when Mahomes went out, that's when they should have made the adjustment. I think Jacksonville is where basically say we need to key on Kelsey, take him away. We have a good pass rush. Let them tee off because he's not going to be able to move in the pocket. We take his best weapon away. He's not going to be able to do anything. And like I said when we first started discussing the game, 14 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns.
It's why he's the best in the game. You know he's coming, but you can't stop it, and it drives people crazy. The chemistry him and Pat have, the chemistry it looked like him and Chad had on that drive. They just, he's the best in the game for a reason, and it showed on Saturday. But and what was nice though is also to see this, Dylan, is when the Chiefs needed to run the ball on Saturday, they could, and they did. That long 98-yard drive in the second half, that grinding drive you're talking about, that championship drive, when they had to and they needed it, they did. And that's going to be big, going on this weekend and however far this season goes. And I will say this. If there's one coach you want on your sideline when your starter goes down with a sprained ankle and he comes back in and he's limping around, that one coach who's going to draw up plays and get guys open is Andy Reid.
Yep.
If you need something in the passing game on a situation like this, Andy's going to get you dialed up and he's going to put you in a good spot.
Yeah, well, and he did, and it just shows the confidence that he has in his backups, and it's a reason why you pay a backup quarterback $5 million a year.
Well, and also, Chad Henne have a day when he's coming in for an injured Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Everybody remembers the 2020 divisional game against the Browns, 4th and 2 at midfield. Romo screaming, "Jim, there's no way he can do this. No, he can't do it." And he snaps it and he finds Tyreek for the first down. Ball game. And then, on Saturday, how many, third downs completions did he need? He found Travis, and he finds Travis on the touchdown pass right when he needed him. Man, something must be in that Kansas City air when Chad Henne needs to come in and play in the playoffs in the divisional round, because he plays his heart out.
Yeah. Well, it's because he went to Michigan.
It's fair.
So that's what it is. And Chiefs are moving on and go to the second game on Saturday. And I'm not gonna lie, Grant, I have a lot of notes written down for this Eagles Giants game. Eagles 38, Giants 7. You want me to read off my notes for all the notes I wrote for this one?
Yeah, fire away.
Ass kicking.
Yep.
that was all it is.
That's all it was.
That's all I wrote. I sit down and I'm getting ready to write stuff down, and I was like, first drive, Eagles look surgical, methodical. You couldn't tell Lane Johnson or Jalen Hurts were hurt at all. It was like, oh, this looks like the Eagles from the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
They look rejuvenated. They look like a new football team. And you got Nick Sirianni just shaking his head, got that cocky, snarled, strong chin, and he's a good coach, but God, does he have a punchable face?
Very, very northeastern vibe on Saturday night there.
Northeastern. Well, he's New York Italian tough guy. Yeah, he has that guy the fact that he coaches for the Eagles, can't stand him. If he was a coach of one of my teams,
you'd love him.
I would absolutely love it.
Absolutely love him.
But he plays for like the most scumbag team in the NFL.
Well, and the worst fans in the NFL. Just
bad fans in the NFL.
Awful,
everything.
Awful people in Philadelphia.
They make Philly cheesesteaks taste bad.
That's not possible. I cannot agree with you there. I can't do it.
Well, that's because you're a Chiefs fan and you got Kansas City barbecue, so.
Well, that's fair. And then, don't get me wrong. The people of Philadelphia are a bunch of uneducated clowns. And
have you ever watched have you ever listened to the Bill Burr rant on Philadelphia?
I have.
Have you ever heard that?
I have.
That's how what Bill Burr says in that. If you haven't heard it yet, go listen to it. It's guaranteed to make you laugh because I know there's a lot of Vikings fans that listen to this that also do not like Philadelphia,
Absolutely.
and I'm glad that Carson got out of there, so I don't have to like be somewhat happy when they win because Carson was there. But yeah, that one was ugly. That's what should have happened with the Giants. It just proves that Vikings fans have to be kicking themselves for that.
Well, and
And
I don't know if I said it on here or after the Vikings game. I was watching the game with Ethan when they played the Giants, and the Giants were celebrating the big win, and I go, "Oh, they're going to get their ass kicked by Philadelphia. This team doesn't stand a chance." And people are talking all week. Oh, the Eagles, they haven't looked good since they played the Giants in Week 14. Jalen's hurt. The offense has been somewhat inconsistent. Is it going to be uh, rust over rest? And well, no, they came out and just looked like a fine-tuned machine. And they looked pissed off. Like, you're going to forget about us? Well, watch what we're about to do to this team. Who everyone's saying could go on a 2007 type run. Stop it.
17
No,
or
the
Giants.
Giants.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, well, the people were the way the Eagles played towards the end of the year. That was they said the same thing about him in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl.
That's true. Yeah, because
That's what
Carson.
this looked like. Except the Eagles played a little bit better of a team in 17,
Well, yeah, they played the
and
foul.
the Giants, you know they were a well coached team. They were not a talent wise. They had no business doing anything this year. But credit to Daboll. That's why he's going to win Coach of the Year. And now I'm knowing the Giants. They probably will sign Daniel Jones to a long extension.
Well, they came. I read it on ESPN today that they said they plan on sticking with him.
And I don't know why. I think this is a situation where it's going to be similar to another team in the playoffs, which we'll get to in a little bit here.
I was going to say that quarterback, but you beat me to it.
But it's one of those conversations that you don't lie to yourself, and I think what you're better off doing is doing what Pete Carroll did when he got hired in Seattle. They went out and signed Matt Flynn. They drafted Russell Wilson, and it was just throwing darts at a dartboard until hoping one stick. And they ended up doing it because being in cap hell and quarterback purgatory isn't good either.
No, it's
because you have to look and honestly say, can Daniel Jones get us over the hump? Can he get us to championship weekend? And maybe if they get some better weapons around them, but it's tough. Going to be tough when you're paying a quarterback $45 million.
And especially, Dexter Lawrence is going to be looking to get paid here probably shortly. I know Leonard Williams signed as a big free agent deal. A couple of years ago, you got Saquon.
And I would rather have Saquon. I'm not big on re-signing running backs, but he's such a key to your offense's success because he can run the ball. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's improved in pass protection a little bit. That's still something they're going to work on. But I think if there's a guy that could do it and get Saquon to do it, I think it is Brian Daboll.
And then if you remember, I think is it Andrew Thomas, their left tackle?
Yep.
First round pick 2020. Well, they're going to have to pick up his 5th-year option here in 2 months in March. And then he's going to be looking for a contract extension here shortly, too. So, new administration in New York, they are going to have a lot of tough decisions to make on who to pay and who not to pay and who to just walk right out that door.
And it's the Giants, so who cares?
Yeah, they don't.
I don't know. I don't think I know. Well, you're a roommate. That's the only Giants fan I know. I don't know any other Giants fans.
Yeah. That's the only one I got also.
Like, I know more Jets fans than I know Giants fans. And I don't know many Jets fans either. No. Like, I don't, like, where do these people come from? Like,
Queen?
Like, how, like, do they just come out of their burrows? Or what's going on? Like, well, and I mean, it's in New York, and we don't care to ever go visit that place with a bunch of snarky assholes. But but yeah, Eagles both just um you know both fan bases, they're better than us because we're poor Midwestern people.
Oh, they live in the big city, the city that never sleeps. It's one of the 7 best cities in the world. Everybody wants to go here. Blah 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 blah. Say that from your $3,500 a month studio apartment that you're sharing with 2 other people.
More than that.
Well, I'm saying a small studio. You're sharing 3.
Where they don't have an oven. They just have a hot
They
plate.
just have a
Their fridge is a mini fridge that's usually here a beer fridge.
yes. The rats are bigger than a loaf of bread out your window, and they come in and they steal all your food. You got to fight with all the taxis and all this other stuff out there. You're not allowed to have a car.
Crime is through the roof.
Crime is through the roof. Probably a bunch of homeless people you got to deal with. Yeah, that sounds like the greatest city in the world. Yeah. New York
Yeah.
City that never sleeps. Yeah, because people are getting gunned down every 20 minutes.
Right? But I suppose that's enough talk of that game. We probably spent more time on it than we should have. But
well, at this point, we were just bitching about the 2 cities.
yeah,
Like two
fair.
two awful cities and two awful fan bases.
Correct. And let's go over to Western New York, where there is an awesome fan base in Bills Mafia, which they did not look good yesterday. They lost 27-10. That game, after that surgical first drive by Joe Burrow to start the game in 7-0, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one for Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And, that second drive, too, after Buffalo went 3-and-out, Burrow goes, they threw the ball well that opening drive, and then they used the pass to open up the run. They ran the ball, I think it was like 34 times, which for Zach Taylor, we might have to start having a discussion if he's a good coach. Because I'm starting to hop on that train. And if he makes the back-to-back Super Bowls, I think you have to have that conversation. We'll
Oh,
get into Zach Taylor in a little bit here. And 14-0, and back-to-back 3-and-outs. And it's thinking like, oh boy,
oh boy,
this the floodgates could have opened,
the wheels are about to
and
fall off the
it
wagon.
could have, and with the wheels would have fallen off the wagon if we're talking Bills terms, or it would have been an avalanche since there was snow on the field.
Oh, nice
But I
pun.
like yours. I like yours was better, Grant. And I wrote down with 2:06 in the first, they have to get a stop or a turnover. They got the stop, and when Buffalo got the ball back, Romo said it, and it's something that we've been saying all year. They need to run the ball,
Yep.
and for whatever reason, they just refuse to run it. And the only run game they have is Josh Allen, and it showed that because by the end of the game, he looked worn down, like he looked like he had nothing left. And their O line has been a disaster. Their pass rush was, ever since Von Miller went out, like you could just file a missing persons report for Ed Oliver because he was nowhere to be found.
Well, so on that, Dylan, did you hear the stat yesterday before that Cowboys game when they were talking on Fox?
No.
When Vaughn was playing, they were 4th in the NFL in percentages of pressures on the opposing team's quarterback. When Vaughn left after he was injured, they dropped all the way down to 26th.
That's not good.
That's not good. And then also, right before the half, when Buffalo got the ball, they're down 17-7. They get the ball to start the second half. They go down and they have to punt.
I wrote that down too. I said because they got the ball back with 149. I said Buffalo needs points.
Yes.
Preferably TD. They get the ball out of the break, go win the middle 8. We got ourselves a ball game. Halftime 17-7.
Yep.
And then they get the ball to start, and preferably a touchdown. They ended up settling for a field goal.
But
You know why? Because they aren't unable to run the ball, so they just sell out on the pass.
a long drive that took off a lot of time off the clock to only get 3.
Yep. And then it was and it was also a 3rd and 2 where the Bills threw it deep and they ended up having to punt because it was a drop. And then Cincy goes down and scores, make it 24-10.
Yep.
And, Zach Taylor, 34 rushes, 173 yards. Joe Mixon ran for over 100 yards. And we said it, like that was going to be the key to the game was who's going to be able to run the ball better. Cincinnati ran the ball better. Buffalo is an indoor team, is a team built to play
indoors, but
nice weather indoors, but they play in Buffalo. Like, hello, what is Brandon Bean doing? Like, we thinking, oh yeah, we have a good quarterback who can run the ball, but if we run him the way he was ran the last few years, he's gonna get hurt. Because Josh Allen, he's a great player, he's fun to watch, but he does some really dumb things.
Oh,
and
and I was just gonna say, it's crazy. You leave that game talking about coming in the year how much hype Buffalo had.
They were Super Bowl favorites. We both had picked to win the Super Bowl.
Both had them picked to win the Super Bowl. I mean, and look what they did week 1 against the Rams. You're thinking, uh-oh, this team's going to be a problem this year. But you leave that game yesterday and you realize they have a lot of holes on this roster. A bad offensive line who can't run block. They still don't have a running back. And they need another wide receiver outside of Stephon Diggs.
Who knows?
Who knows? And then also,
I mean,
you got Vaughn coming back from his second ACL tear in his career. Who's, that's concerning. Vaughn's played a lot of football. J.J. Watt just retired. Vaughn was from that same draft class. And I know he signed, was it like a 5 or 6 year deal this offseason in Buffalo? If this wear and tear keeps up, is he going to be able to finish out the life of that contract? I don't know. That's something to look at. So it's just crazy. You look at Buffalo and how they're a good team and they were Super Bowl favorites, and you leave the game yesterday thinking this team needs a lot of work in this offseason.
Yeah, well, I think they can get out of it after 2 years. I thought I remember seeing.
Okay.
I think something like that, but I wouldn't quote me on that. But yeah, Buffalo, they end this season farther away than what they were to start the year. There's a lot of question marks, and they're in cap hell. They have the biggest thing is that I think if they can get some nice pieces in free agency on the offensive line and draft a running back and commit to the run and play more complementary football, I think Buffalo's back in the conversation. But right now, if we're doing tiers of the top 3 quarterbacks in the AFC right now, it's Mahomes, Burrow, and I think I might put Mahomes and Burrow at 1A, 1B. And 2 would be Trevor Lawrence, and he's not far behind there, and then Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the 4th best quarterback. And there's questions we're going to see. Like, I was seeing Bills fans calling for McDermott to be fired.
That's just an emotional fan base doing something stupid.
Yep. I agree.
But
there's questions. He's got to fix stuff.
But yeah, he's got to fix some things. And, like you said, mainly he's got to fix his offensive philosophy. Because even with Daboll last year and now Ken Dorsey, still no running game. And then his general manager has to do his job and get an offensive line. And like I said, Gabe Davis is only Gabe Davis when he plays the Chiefs. He disappears when he plays everyone else. When Gabe Davis plays the Chiefs, he becomes Jerry Rice. But for the other 16 games in the season, he's nowhere to be seen. And you can't consistently have Stephon Diggs having over 110 catches, leading your team, and Dawson Knox playing well towards the end of this year, and expect to win football games. You can win the AFC East, but you're not beating the Bengals, Jaguars, or Chiefs.
Well, and where was Stephon Diggs? I mean, he was nowhere to be found at the end of the game.
4 catches for 35 yards.
And got to understand his frustration, too, because, I mean, you go look, Jacksonville, they let Travis Kelsey go 14 catches for 98 yards.
Yeah.
It's
And look what Jamar Chase did yesterday.
yep.
But
And
enough of me bashing Buffalo. Call me crazy. Everyone thought Buffalo was probably going to win this game last week because Cincinnati was down 3 starters on the offensive line. In a weird way, maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to them, because then Zach Taylor said, "You know what? We don't trust these guys to pass rush for Joe. So what are we going to do? We're going to let him go forward. We're going to let him run block. We're going to let him do what offensive linemen want to do." And that was the difference in the game. Like what Romo said in the second half, if Buffalo doesn't get a turnover or some weird sort of play, they're going to have a hard time coming back, because if you're getting your ass kicked in the first half, what makes me think you're going to switch that and not get your ass kicked in the second half? Not a damn thing. And Cincinnati, they just relied on that running game. They were leaning, and they just physically dominated Buffalo all day. And it was a beautiful sight to see.
it was, and like we said earlier, we were teasing earlier the discussion. Zach Taylor, I think, is a good coach. I think
Yeah.
he's established a culture. They have an identity. Joe Burrow is Joe Shiesty, and what he does after every game, where he goes to a bar in Cincinnati and
And dedicates the
and delivers a game ball to him. That is cool. That's buying into the city. That is building a culture, which is such a huge part of being a good football team, and it's why they're playing in the AFC Championship for a second straight year.
second year in a row. And then also, maybe it's a good thing Mike Brown was a cheapskate and didn't want to fire Zach Taylor after the 2020 season. Because whatever he said that he was going to do, they've been doing it these last 2 years.
Yeah,
There was people calling for his head. Oh, this is the head coach to have for Joe Burrow. He can't succeed in this league. He's running the Sean McVay offense with no concepts of his own. He's in over his head. He only got the job because of the former coach he worked for. Well, right now, that's looking like a lot of people are eating some crow right now.
myself included, and I think you as well,
Absolutely.
because we said when we did our NFL preview, is I think we both picked the Ravens to win the North,
Well, I
and it was because we
I
didn't
picked,
trust Zach Taylor.
I picked the Bengals because I believe in.
Oh, did you?
I did, and I thought the new offensive line would get it going, but I didn't have him anywhere near the top of the AFC.
Yeah.
I kind of like some people. I thought last year's Super Bowl run was maybe a 1 year thing. Like Joe's going to put up crazy stats. Cincinnati's going to compete in a division, but they're going to be like a divisional round team. They're never going to get back to this sustained success. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, well, and it would just look at the Bengals' history, but one guy can change the fortune of a franchise, and
Yeah.
that's Joe Burrow, where he has that confidence about him of the Globo Gym Purple Cobras, which in the movie obviously didn't work out for them, but that's the right attitude to have. Is we're better than you and we know it.
Absolutely.
And they show it. They went right into Buffalo. They didn't care that they were on the road. They embraced it. And give me guys like that aren't afraid to go on the road.
Well,
Feed off that negative energy and enjoy hearing a silent crowd more than a crowd erupt.
and why would Cincinnati be afraid to play on the road? Last year they won at Tennessee and at Kansas City. So this wasn't new territory for them.
No.
They're used to being road warriors, and also, let's not forget how good this Bengals defense is playing over their last 9 games. They're a top 5 unit in the NFL.
Yeah, their pass rush is really good. They've got good
Yep.
linebackers. Von Bell's playing really well.
Dax Hill had a
Dax
couple
Hill
nice
has been a
plays.
really nice piece.
Couple nice plays yesterday he made there in the end zone. I mean, this Cincinnati team is looking sharp. And
This ain't your father's Bengals.
And one thing I want to understand is after the game, you have Joe Burrow talking about how you're going to refund all those money for all the people for the AFC title game in Atlanta. And I think Zach Taylor said something along the lines of, hey, we ruined some plans or something like this. I want to know who out there in the national media was doubting the Bengals, because I know it wasn't coming from us. Because
No,
both of us probably had the Bengals winning this game on Sunday going into it. I know
I think
I
I
did.
think I had the I think I had the Bills winning a close one because they were at home. But
I know I picked.
after that first drive, I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna be the Bills' day.
I mean, in my pick'ems this year, I had the Bengals winning this game. So I want to know where all these Bengals players are getting this motivation that people said they're done. Unless I'm just not paying much attention to the national media. But this
Well,
this Bengals team looked pissed off on Sunday, and they looked like they were coming in to prove a point.
it was probably the four-letter network, and it's not the four-letter network that we grew up on. So
Uh,
that's probably where it was coming from. But you
and
know what?
also in a weird way, you feel bad. We're glad DeMar Hamlin is at the game and he's on the road to make a recovery. But you got to think the Bengals were maybe a little salty that game didn't cancel, because they probably thought they would have beat the Bills in the regular season, and that game on Sunday should have been in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well, because if the Bengals would have won, that game would have been in Cincy,
Would have been
right?
in Cincy, yeah. So
Yeah.
then they're probably thinking this is unfair and unjust that we have to go to the road to a hostile group when we didn't have a chance to play this team in the regular season, and we were probably going to beat that ass.
Well, the way they were playing,
It looked like
it was kind of playing out like that could have happened.
a revenge type game on Sunday, where they were just motivated and locked in, and they were bullying people around.
Well, and I think where the other part where that came from is because there was like over 50,000 tickets purchased for that game in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
So that's probably where it was coming from. And well, I'm hoping the NFL sends those refund checks.
Well, boy, they're going to have to. If not, there's going to be a lawsuit on their hand.
Oh yeah. And let's go to the final game of the NFL divisional round. 49ers 19, Cowboys 12. In a game where this game, I think, as a Cowboy, will haunt Cowboys fans for years to come because they had it in the fingertips. This isn't like in previous times they've made it to the divisional round. Looking back to 09 when they played the Vikings, where the game was over from the word go.
The Rams a couple years ago.
The Rams a couple of years ago. The Packers, Dak's rookie year, where they got down big and they made a good comeback, but then Cowboys' dad, Aaron Rodgers, just said, "You know what? I got this,"
Yep.
and pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and then Mason Crossbar hits a game-winning field goal. This one felt different. This defense, none of the difference is none of those teams had good enough defenses that could do anything where you had a lot of faith if the offense was having a bad day. This team, the defense showed up. They looked like fresh, rejuvenated, and ready to go. They got off to a great start, 3-0. Dallas goes, I think they get a first down, and then they go 3-0. And you could tell from the start that they were missing Jason Peters. You knew it was going to be tough sledding, which Kellen Moore is like, I hope he's gone because let's keep trying to run outside. Let's run outside. Well, you're not going to do it against Fred Warner. You got to run through him. And when they ran on the inside. They had success.
Good things happened.
But, Kellen Moore, best offensive coordinator in the game, according to some people, going to be a head coach somewhere.
Which is going to be a travesty for that organization.
And, you see Mike McCarthy got this big-ass play sheet that he had in Green Bay. Why isn't he calling plays?
Yeah, dude, thank you for bringing that up. I saw his big-ass play sheet, and then the one Kellen Moore had, and Kellen Moore's was about a quarter of the size. What is going on here?
And Dallas doesn't have an identity. And then turnover Dak came back. Horrible interception. I don't know what happened there.
That first
give
one?
It to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then credit the D. They did a good job holding them to a field goal. And they did a really good job on first and second down of making it into a long obvious passing situation. DeMarcus Lawrence looked like he was from the start of the year. Micah Parsons had a really nice game. The defense did enough to win. And then, after the interception, credit Dallas. Dak, he came right back. They went right down the field, scored.
7-3, right?
Missed six.
7.
Who's the kicker for the Cowboys?
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, Brett.
And, I have TD, Dak to Schultz. Probably played his last game as a Cowboy. And I wrote down, they're going to be going for 2 from here on out. And then the defense, they held. And Dallas had a shot going into the middle 8. And I said that with 3:48 left, it's 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
And I said they have a chance to win the middle 8, get a score, and the ball out of the break. And Turpin had a great return after that, where there was set. Dak was moving the ball with his legs. That could be a difference. And then back-to-back plays. This is what I wrote down. Pollard hurt. Shit. Dak, INT, 115. SF territory. All cap. Shit! Dallas holds him to a field goal.
Yep.
9-6. 9-6 halftime. And I wrote, not really knowing, but kind of having a hunch and not fully thinking this through. But, if they don't turn the ball over, they'll win the game. The defense needs to force a turnover because out of the break, Dallas did not do anything on offense.
Nope.
But a muffed punt by Ray McLeod. They get that short field. And that's where you could tell they missed Pollard, where they didn't have that explosiveness. And, Zeke's good running in between the tackles, but he's not going to break one, especially against a defense like that. I mean, Zeke breaking one against this defense is a 5-6 yard carry, which is good. Would put you ahead of the sticks, gets the defense on their toes, keeps them guessing. But they make the field goal. Brett Maher, never a doubt.
Never a doubt, baby.
Nope. So tie it back up 9-9. And, Dallas gets a stop again. And, they, I was like kind of sitting there. I'm like, at some point, they've been going very short intermediate routes. At some point, they have to go for a deep shot. They do that with CD. They get to the San Francisco 45, and then I think they go Dak gets sacked, or there's a 5-yard loss where they were at the 35, and then it's at the 40, and then they come out like they're going to go for it, where it was it was 4th and 5, and then they end up taking the penalty to make it 4th and 10, and a good punt by Anger, and it was like thinking like, okay, 12. It would have been like an 88-yard drive, make them go the whole field.
Yep.
And this was the drive of the game here. And there was that Kittle catch before.
Yep.
Which Diggs should have just depleted him.
I don't know.
And he had a shot.
I don't know why he did
whiffed.
He could have.
I think he was worried about getting a penalty.
You think that was so much in his head? That it's so much in these secondary players' head these days where they're thinking about that and they miss tackles?
I think so. Well, I mean, Stephon Diggs doesn't tackle. He just leans his shoulder in and hope it works.
You mean Trayvon Diggs?
Trayvon Diggs, yeah. Yeah, not a good day for the Diggs brothers.
Not a good day for the Diggs family.
No. And this was the sequence here that I'm talking about. Diggs drops an interception on 2nd and 9.
Yep.
On the Dallas 20. So it's 3rd and 9. DeMarcus Lawrence gets a sack, and it was 1,000% the right call, a defensive holding. But the most frustrating part about it is he was under pressure from the snap. There was no way anything. Yeah. Purdy was not going to complete that at all.
No.
And he gets bailed out by that. First down. And then that's the end of the 3rd. And then Juszczyk gets he gets down to like the 3. That's the end of the quarter. And then McCaffrey runs it in 16-9. And it was like,
oh boy.
Oh, that's where this is where it fell. And leading up to that drive, that 88-yard drive, that was where like the San Francisco offensive line woke up. And the
Yep.
Erin Andrews, when she met with Shanahan, said that our O line has to wake up. We have to start creating some holes.
Yep.
And for the most part, Dallas's defense did a really good job of keeping, McCaffrey and Debo in check. You hardly heard their name.
Correct.
And going in, if you would have told me that they weren't going to do a whole lot, Dallas was going to win, I thought. But, Dallas gets the field goal with Maher to make it 16-12. And then San Francisco, that's where you could see that Dallas's defense starting to tire.
And where?
And, wear out. And to Dallas's credit, they bowed up. They were able to force a field goal, make it 19-12. And then the defense for San Francisco showed up. Dalton Schultz forgot that he was in the NFL, not in college. And Dak had a shot too to make a play. He had Gallup wide open and he missed him. And they went 3-and-out in a punt. And we've talked so much about the rushing the ball, running the ball in the playoffs, and how key that is. That if you're able to outrush the other team, you've got a 95% chance to win. And you know what the second half rushing yards were?
A lot to a little.
San Francisco, I know they had a graphic up. I think they got a couple of more yards. It was, if you round up, it was 90 yards. Dallas 20.
Yep, that's going to lose you games.
And Pollard his absence was deeply, deeply missed. And we don't need to discuss that last play of the game because they weren't going to win anyways. There was going to be a whole lot of luck.
Oh,
Zeke is not going to be a center when he eats himself out of a running back. But a disappointing end. And this same conversation that we talked about having with the Giants, I think it needs to start having with the Cowboys and Prescott. I think I like Dak, but I think he's reached his ceiling, and it's going to be tough because Pollard is a free agent.
Nope.
Schultz is a free agent. They have a bunch of free agents coming up, and Pollard you have to franchise. Zeke's going to have to take a significant pay cut.
Do you think they release Zeke?
If he doesn't take a pay cut, yeah, absolutely. You have to at this point. You can find a good power running back in the draft.
True.
And and releasing him would be good because they would force them to feature Pollard,
yeah,
which would be good and which would just add another dimension. And Zeke get a running back that's good in those short yardage, those tough, in between the tackles,
situation.
In between the tackles type of runs.
Yep.
And even in this game, that Pollard running in between the tackles was their best running game, but that disappeared when he went out.
Yep.
And I think if Dak wants to succeed and the Cowboys want to get over the hump, they have to have the conversation of restructuring his contract and him taking less pay so he is surrounded with more weapons, because that's where you're going to see him more successful.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when we talk about these superstar quarterbacks and everyone in the media, including us, they go, you can't win in the NFL without a quarterback. Yes, that's true. But let's also call a spade a spade. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, there's a few of them out there. Not every NFL team is going to have that. But what every NFL team can do is build a great team around that quarterback who makes your above average to good quarterback make him play great. And look at the other team on the other sideline this weekend.
Hang on. My neighbor's dog is having an absolute bark attack right now.
Oh.
Going absolute berserk, screaming bloody murder. That's 2 episodes in a row. We have a trend going on right now.
We got a trend, folks. Maybe there's some coyotes in the neighborhood.
Maybe there were a few years ago. There were reports of mountain lion spottings in Dickinson,
Okay.
right by my parents' house. They found tracks, and oh, was that a big kitty?
That's a big cat.
Yep.
Yep. Those wild cats are the things that scare me. Run away from them.
No, you ain't outrunning them.
Well, just
Your best get is get a concealed carry and you shoot that bastard.
don't get anywhere near him because that kitty's gonna do some bad things to you.
Yep. Especially if there's kittens around.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Bad news bears right there, folks.
Yep. But back to Dak
You
and
know,
the Cowboys.
there's only so many of these elite quarterbacks in the league where they make your teams better. And look at the team across the on the other sideline on Sunday, San Francisco. You have a 7th-round rookie who just played his 6th or 7th game
And looks the best out of the three
and looks
quarterbacks
the
on the
best
roster.
out of the 3. But also that coincides with what the San Francisco's done with their roster over these last 4 to 5 years. You trade for Trent Williams. You draft Brandon Ayuk. You draft George Kittle. You trade for Christian McCaffrey. You keep Juszczyk. You build this offensive line. You have a head coach who has an identity in an offensive system. You build and draft and develop the best defense in the NFL. This is what more teams need to do, and this is what Dallas needs to do. And on the defensive end, Dallas is doing that. But now they need to clear up these holes on the offensive line, get another playmaker outside of CD, and get another running back. So where Dak, who's a good player, but he's not a great player, but if you build this team around him, can become a great player.
Well, and you know, I've dumped on Amari Cooper a fair amount of times, but he would have been more useful than Michael Gallup yesterday.
Absolutely.
And you know, they held on to the wrong guy. Cooper and all his flaws, who doesn't like the cold. I wouldn't say is the toughest guy around, but he knew how to get open. He knew how to make plays. And Michael Gallup he was just so inconsistent. I mean, he's either really good or really bad. And we got really bad Michael Gallup. And especially when Tony Pollard, your kind of spark plug, your identity of the offense goes out, guys have to step up.
Yep.
Schultz didn't step up. Schultz is going to be gone. As far as I'm concerned, he's done. He's not coming back and I think it would have been tough anyways because of just their cap situation. And it would have taken a run to the Super Bowl for them to really consider re-signing him. But
yeah,
I like where they're at on the tight ends. I do think I would like to see him get maybe a little bit more explosive. But Ferguson had a nice year. Hendershot was solid.
Yep.
I still think they need to draft one more. Somebody kind of as a starter. I think of the 3 on the roster, Sean McEwen as well. I think of the 3 on the roster, I think Ferguson gives you that best shot if he's able to stay healthy, because he was probably their second best tight end throughout the year.
Yep.
But it's only his second year, so we don't know. We don't know how he's going to do it in an increased role, because this year he was mostly used as a blocking tight end. And I don't know. We'll see. They got to add a second corner. They need to add another receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the kicker, good for Brad. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Who knows? And then defensively, they're going to have to pay Leighton Vander Esch, who, when he's healthy, is a really good linebacker and one of the best. He had a really good game yesterday, but he can't stay on the field.
Every year he's good for a neck stinger that makes him miss 4 games.
Yep, and they're going to have to pay Parsons, not this year, but in 2 years.
Maybe in 2 years.
Diggs is going to have to get paid here.
Yep.
Because he was in that 2020 draft. But yeah, a lot of questions in Dallas. We'll see what happens. And I suppose you want to preview Championship Sunday?
Let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so we'll start the first game of the day on Sunday, Philly versus the 49ers, 1 p.m. on Fox. Philly, when I just looked here, the line opened at 2 point favorites. It's already up to 2.5 points. I think this game is going to come down to QB play. Whoever makes that first mistake is going to lose. This is going to be a slow defensive battle. It's going to be a rock fight. Who can stop the run? Who's going to make it into a passing 3rd and 8 drop back pass game? Whoever does that effectively is going to win. I think early on, I think both teams are going to try to hit a deep shot, try to flip the field because I think field position is going to be huge in this game, and it's going to be just a slobber knocker. That's the best way to put it. I'm excited for it. It's going to be in Philly. It's going to be a raucous crowd. Two of the faces of the NFL franchises between Philly and the Niners, historic franchises. And I'll let you talk and see if there's anything that I need to add for this or that I think of as you're talking.
Well, so as we know, the Niners number one defense in the league. I think points per game, yards per game, and then the best front four in the league. Well, they may have finally met their match in this Philadelphia offensive line. But there's one thing I think we need to look at, like you said earlier, Dylan, when we were discussing the Eagles-Giants game, is Lane Johnson's going to need surgery. And, after a couple of those early pass rushes against Kayvon Thibodeau, you could tell he was a little ginger and he wasn't feeling too good. So if I'm San Francisco and I see that, no, I'm going up against 3 Pro Bowlers up front, I'm rushing Nick Bosa off left end all night. I understand Lane Johnson, in theory, is probably their best tackle and maybe their best offensive lineman. But if he's just banged up a touch, I want Nick Bosa going up against him. And it might not pay off in the first quarter. It might not pay off in the second quarter. Become the third and the fourth quarter when this is a tight game the Niners need to play. Lane's going to get tired. Was it a leg or a groin injury? It's going to slowly give out. Nick's going to be able to get by him, and Nick's going to make a play.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Nick really tries to see it. He might try to get out wide right away to see how far of a reach Lane Johnson has with that groin, see where it is, and
but then
go from there and adjust to it.
But that's also dangerous in this aspect. Jalen.
Yeah, and you almost have to. That almost has to be like a D'Amico Ryans. That might be a chess match where, might have him Bosa rush up field, but making sure there is a linebacker there to fill that spot. I would expect somebody to be spying Hurts every play.
It has to be Fred Warner because Dre Greenlaw's good, but he's not fast enough. And Fred Warner is a heat-seeking missile there at that middle linebacker position. Something in the water in the Bay Area that no one else in this country has. Just talk about a plethora of riches there in San Francisco, their inside linebacker play. But yeah, with Bosa, if he's rushing Johnson, as soon as he gets to Jalen's level, he's got to peel back and he's got to, rush with contain and make sure Jalen can't get out of the pocket and, get those cheap 6 or 7 yards when the Niners rush by him, because they did that a couple times on Sunday where it's like, hey, you're looking for them to get a stop. They rush with no integrity, and Dak takes off and gets a first down with his legs. So big thing for San Francisco. Like I said, I'm putting stress on that Lane Johnson groin with my best player, and I'm going to see if he can handle it. But and then also, this 49ers team, they want to be physical and they want to run the ball. Well, they're going up against their match in this Philadelphia front, who had over 60 sacks by their defensive linemen this year.
Probably the deepest D line.
The deepest D line in the NFL. They can just rotate.
That's Sue. Oh man, that was a guy that I was really hoping Dallas was going to sign. You can never have enough pass rushers this late in the year.
No, Sue, Fletcher Cox, Linval Joseph, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. I mean, they're going to be just rotating bodies left and right. And I look for San Francisco to maybe do this. If they get a first down, pick the tempo up. Get going. Don't let Philadelphia rotate players and have them be 7, 8 deep. Make them play with the same four for 5, 6, 7 plays in a row. Just go there, keep the intensity up, and make Philadelphia get worn out and tired. But
Yep.
but then in
And
return, San Francisco, they're going to have to run the ball, and they're going to have to remember this. Hey, these 2 to 3 yard gains in the first quarter, they're going to become 5, 6, 7, 8 yard gains in the third and fourth quarter if you stick to this game plan.
like it was against Dallas.
Like it was against Dallas. You got to be patient with it. And I think Kyle knows that compared to the rest of the NFL.
Yep. And I think Philly on the defensive side, another part of it too, is Purdy likes that middle of the field. Those crossers with Kittle and Ayuk, Samuel,
Mm-hmm.
hitting them across the middle. I think that's going to be huge for Philly, is making sure the linebackers are getting into their drops and taking away that middle of the field Purdy Purdy likes it, and see if they can bait him into an interception, because that's going to be the difference. Is the turnovers, is who's able to force those turnovers. If they're and make Purdy look like a rookie, which he still hasn't done.
But that's the importance though of actually playing football. He played
Yep.
4 full seasons at Iowa State, over 1,000 college snaps. He's played a lot of football in his life, and he's played in a lot of big stadiums. He's played at Memorial Stadium. He's played at DKR there in Texas. He's gone to Waco. He's played in Lubbock. He played at Kinnick Stadium. He's seen, big stadiums like this and raucous crowds. And even in yesterday's post game interview, unflappable. Didn't want to
Yep.
talk about himself. He was humble, and he just knew he was there to get a win, and he was doing the media stuff, but he just wanted to play ball. So, but to your point, what if he does have an interception or two, and he kind of spazzes a little bit? Then do the wheels? Do they come off the wagon too? Does he unravel? Does he spiral down like he did against Iowa in 2021 when Matt Hankins had that first interception, and then he lost the game from them from there? Stay tuned, folks. And then also, Dylan, one thing I think Philadelphia needs to do, they need to challenge Chardavius Ward. Given up a lot of deep shots this year in the San Francisco defense. And if you're looking for one player who can exploit that, it'd be A.J. Brown. He's a big body guy. He's fast. He can get up. He can get that 50-50 ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles challenge number 7 in white, on Sunday afternoon, because he's been giving up big plays this year when the Niners have rarely given up a big play. So see if Nick watches that on film and takes advantage of that mismatch they have.
Yeah. Well, so we've got everything covered here. What's your prediction for the NFC Championship? Oh, also too, the total for the game is 45.5. This game's going to be over. I think this game is going to be fast. This might be a 3-hour game.
I think it's going to be under 45.5.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Let's get the predictions of the games here. I've got Eagles 19, 49ers 17. I think in the end, I think it's going to come down to home field. And I think the Niners are able to make just a couple more plays. I think they're able to get that interception off of Purdy. And that's going to be the difference, is that interception. The Niners sneak it out with a late field goal.
The Eagles?
The Eagles sneak out a late field goal to win 19-17.
I've been on this team since August, saying they were going to be in the Super Bowl, saying I love their defense. Their offense was going to come around. I'm not jumping ship now. I mean, we're here. I'm gonna roll with San Francisco, 20-17.
Okay.
And I
so
understand.
Pretty much just flipped.
I understand the Eagles have a deeper defensive line, but San Francisco has the better players. And I think the body blow that Nick Bosa delivers is eventually going to become knockdown shots, and he's going to get home there in the second half, and they're going to make enough plays to slow this Eagles team down. So I'm going to stick with the Niners. 20-17, like I said, because I've been on this team since August. So I'm not falling off now. So Niners back to the Super Bowl.
All right, there you go. Okay, so then, so we got it's a little bit divided here, but you know what? We'll see. I hope it is the Niners because I do not want to see the Eagles win anything. As I've said, I'm not a fan of Philadelphia, but let's go down to the AFC Championship game, the Arrowhead Invitational, if you will. We got a rematch of the 2021 AFC Championship, and the Chiefs opened as 1 point favorites, but now that line has flipped to the Bengals as 1 point favorites. 4:30 p.m. on CBS Mountain Time, and the obvious elephant in the room, big question is Mahomes' health. How much is that ankle going to affect him? It's a high ankle sprain. It's yes, he played on it. He played well, but that's adrenaline. There's some type of shot, but and his shoes were about as quadruple knotted as tight as you're going to be, so it would not balloon up. But he was in a walking boot leaving the stadium on
I I
on Saturday.
he wasn't. I thought they said he wasn't.
Oh, well, I heard he was. I guess we've got conflicting reports, but as that week goes on, as the swelling is going to go up, we're going to see. Andy Reid already said today that he's going to play. How effective will he be? How effective is he going to be from the pocket? This might be the best thing that happens to Kansas City, where it's going to force them to run the ball, and that's going to be key. And when Kansas City has chosen to run the ball, and when Kansas City was struggling this year, Grant said that they have to call more runs where the offensive line knows they're going to run, and when they've done that, they've had a lot of success. Is that something they're going to do? Has Andy Reid learned from not doing that last year? And then on Cincinnati's side is, can Cincinnati protect Burrow? That is a tremendous pass rush over by in Kansas City with Chris Jones, Frank Clark. Frank Clark is like number 2,
All time, and
yeah, all time in playoff
I think
postseason
it's like
sacks.
13 in his career.
Yeah, and I think, will Zach Taylor continue to run the ball? I think they should be able to run it. Going by watching last week's game against Jacksonville, um, and in the end, I think this game is going to come down. It's going to come down to how healthy Mahomes is, how effective he is going to be from the pocket, how well Kansas City's able to protect him, and if he's able to make plays when he has to, like he did against Jacksonville. Will he? We'll get to predictions after Grant goes and discusses this game.
So I guess the first thing with the Mahomes injury is read a report today, or Jay Glazer said it yesterday before the game that Mahomes was feeling better this morning than the team anticipated that he was, or sorry, that was Sunday morning. So I guess that's a good thing. Who knows? It could be a bunch of nonsense. They could be just saying that to say that, play that chess game with Cincinnati. But then you also hear today, I guess, in 2019, the year they won the Super Bowl, he also suffered a high ankle sprain against Jacksonville. And it sounds like that one was a lot worse than what this is now. And he played through that, and he played well the next game with that. So take that for what it's worth. But if that's the case, that's a good sign. But again, who knows? Like you said, Dylan, maybe this Mahomes injury, maybe it might be the best thing that ever happened to Kansas City, because now it forces Andy to run the ball a little more and maybe get some play action. If Cincinnati, they're still worried if Patrick's Patrick and they're going to play that 3-man front where they don't, and cover 2 where they don't want to get beat deep. Well, just go down the field 12, 13, 14 plays, 5 yards a carry, 6-yard reception here and there. But one thing, I think, if Patrick is limited with his mobility this week, the one player that no one's talking about who's injured, who hasn't played since week 10, and it seems like every week there's some small hiccup with his recovery, is McCole Hartman. Because if McCole can come back, that's 4-3 speed you have that can take the top off the defense when you're going to need it when Patrick maybe doesn't have his legs. And there was multiple times last year in that AFC title game where McColl was open down the sideline. He had a touchdown. He had a 25-yard reception. He had a big play. And Patrick missed him because Patrick was too focused on getting the ball to Tyreek. So maybe, just maybe, McColl can come back. And if he can come back, that would be huge this week. Like I said, since Patrick doesn't have all the mobility that he normally does to make his Mahomes magic. But and another thing I think people are going to talk about that not enough people in national media are going to talk about is, can this Chiefs defensive line bow up and play the best game of their career and make these backups in Cincinnati pass block? Because these guys are backups for a reason. Cincinnati wants to throw the ball all over the field, and they probably can't pass block as well as these starters. They might be able to run block more, but that's not who Cincinnati is. They want to throw it 30 to 35 times a game with Burrow. And last week, it almost kind of just like the Chiefs this week, they were forced into running the ball, and that was the best thing that happened to Cincinnati. So can they Chiefs return to where it looked like when they played the Raiders the second time and the Titans and stop the run? Or are they going to look like they did last week and also when they played the Raiders the first time this year? They're giving up 4.5 yards a carry. It's always 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. You give Cincinnati the whole playbook. That's what it's going to come down to. Because that first meeting in the regular season, that Cincinnati offensive line dominated the Chiefs, and they beat that ass. And Joe Mixon was out, but Samaje Perine had over, I think, 120 total yards. And that set up the play action game, and Cincinnati scored a couple touchdowns off that. So the one thing that the people in the national media aren't going to talk about is, can this Chiefs defensive line dominate, make Cincinnati pass block with the crowd noise and a bunch of backups in there, and then maybe they can finally get to Burrow and cause some pressure where he throws an interception or two and the Chiefs get a short field.
There you go. The other part too is with Mahomes is how much is that leg going to affect his accuracy? Because planting, he did have a couple of throws that normally would, when he's healthy, he would hit and not have issues. But you could tell in the Jacksonville game that leg was clearly bothering him when he was throwing it and it was planting on it. That how much of an effect is that going to have on it? Because there's going to be a point in this game where it's going to be 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13. The game is hanging in the balance, and they're going to need. It's going to be a 3-5 step drop, and he's going to have to throw it. And is that bad leg going to hinder his accuracy? It could.
Well, and I'll be intrigued because the 3 times that the Chiefs and Bengals have played in the Burrow Zach Taylor era, the Bengals have been real laid back on defense. We're only going to rush 3, send 8 back in coverage, maybe send 4 guys, but we're not gonna give them one-on-one matchups and go deep. Does this Cincinnati staff change it up this week, knowing that Patrick doesn't have his legs and he's got to get the ball out? Are they going to, double team Travis and then make sure Patrick is on the same page with his wide receivers, with Juju, with MVS? If McColl can come back, Sky Moore, Justin Watson, that they know, hey, the blitz is coming here. Travis is double teamed. I got to turn around and get this ball. Does Cincinnati, do they change it up? Because if you play 4 times in, 380 days, everyone's going to know your tendencies. Spags is going to know what Zach Taylor's going to do, and Zach Taylor's going to know what Spags is going to do, and vice versa for that Cincinnati defensive staff and Andy Reid. Is this when they finally change it up and they do what Jacksonville didn't do, and they come after the quarterback, which is not much like what Cincinnati wants to do? So do they break a tendency? That'll be the fun chess match to watch in this game.
Yes. That's what makes football great, is the game within the game, and how teams adjust, and that's the chess match we talk about is being proactive instead of reactive.
And then also, lastly for the Chiefs here, they brought this up multiple times in the broadcast on Saturday. A very, very, very young secondary. L'Jarius Sneed being a third-year pro, he's the vet back there. But Trent McDuffie's playing a lot as a rookie. Jalen Watson, Brian Cook in the safety, along with Juan Thornhill and Justin Reed. How does this young secondary play? Do they play better than what they did against Cincinnati when Jamar had a big day and T. Higgins did? Because if you watch the game on Saturday against Jacksonville, Jacksonville had a lot of success when they were thrown to guys behind the line of scrimmage and they had space. They weren't getting a whole lot, down the field where the coverage was. So I want to see how this young Chiefs secondary can match up against the best receiving core as a whole when you throw in Hayden Hurst and T. Higgins, in the NFL. It should be fun to watch.
Yeah, it will. And let's get the predictions here. And in the end, I think this game comes down to health. Love to see this game with a healthy Pat Mahomes and a healthy offensive line. We're recording this Monday, so we don't really know the health of the Bengals offensive line. I know Kappa and Jonah Williams were last week labeled week to week, so Monday there really isn't any news as far as if they're going to play or not. But in the end, it's going to come down to health and quarterback play, and I think a healthy Joe Burrow is going to be the difference. And I think the Bengals go into Arrowhead for the second year in a row and beat the Chiefs 27-21. What say you, Grant?
It pains me to say this, but you don't know how that ankle is going to react, and everything I just said about that Chiefs defense. Can they do this? Can they do that? I don't know if they can put it together this week and beat maybe the most complete team in football, or at least the most complete team in the AFC. So unfortunately, for the second year in a row, I think the Bengals come into Arrowhead Stadium and they pull out the dub, and they get a win 28-19.
28. Oh, so it's a two possession game, huh?
I think it'd be one of those where I think the Chiefs, they get her close, like 21-19 in the fourth quarter, and they go for two. They can't get it, and then Cincinnati just has that championship level drive where they go down and they get it 28-19. Like I said, it's no knock against this Chiefs team, but the Mahomes magic is not going to be there, or we don't know what it's going to be like. And like I said earlier, if there's one coach where you want to call up a game plan this week when your quarterback's got a bum ankle and scheme guys open, it's Big Red. But let's not forget that game in Cincinnati earlier this year, that 4th and goal play on that Mahomes touchdown was because he used his legs and he was able to jump and do the jump man logo into the end zone on 4th and goal. It's just, he might not be able to be there, and Cincinnati just looks like they're on a mission right now.
Yeah.
Almost too much to overcome, and like I said, it pains me to say it, but they're just not healthy at the position you need to be.
Yep. And well, and I think the reason that Joe Burrow is as talented and as good as he is because he developed his love of the game for football in Fargo when his dad was coaching at NDSU. The Bengals, their left guard, who's been a stud for them this year, Cordell Volson, Bison grad, North Dakota native. So, also one of the reasons why I'm cheering for the Bengals. And Joe Burrow did not go to Ohio State. Ohio State fans who try to claim that you're illogical. Urban Meyer didn't want him because he was only a 3-star quarterback, and Joe Burrow is an LSU Tiger and an NDSU Bison.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep, exactly. So we'll see what happens. Did you hear about the deal that Kansas City made with Roger Goodell to make sure the Chiefs made it this far? Did you hear
No.
about that?
Well,
Yeah.
let's hear about this.
So, somebody tweeted at Jeff Schwartz this weekend about how the Chiefs never get called for holding, and they hold every single play. This is Jeff's response. Yes, every single play. They got a good setup. Before the season, Goodell makes a visit to the Chiefs O-line meeting room. He tells the linemen they won't call holding because it's all scripted. Then he's presented with a giant platter of the best Kansas City barbecue. So Joe's Kansas City tweets back with Jeff, responds, can confirm that 234 pounds of barbecue were delivered from us, Q39 and Jack Stack's barbecue, per Mr. Goodell's direct orders. Was a small price to pay, honestly.
That's fantastic.
So, if we ever get a Chiefs offensive lineman on, that's going to be our first question we ask him is
Mm-hmm.
is if that is true. So, but speaking of food, I guess we're going to go over to me for curveball of the week, and I really did not have one. I was so proud of myself. I was taking notes during the games. I was writing stuff down, and then it was like, oh, that's right. I have curveball of the week. So, you know, food food is a good topic of discussion on here. So, we're going to go with most I don't think we've done this one yet, but most overrated breakfast food. And this can be anything.
Oh, most overrated breakfast food.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Now I know you're a big peanut butter toast and fruit guy, and you like your hard boiled eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what is your usual go to breakfast? What do you get? What gets you going in the morning?
Oh, Dylan, it's damn near the same breakfast 7 days out of the week. Um, are you ready for this thing right here?
Yeah, fire away.
We got 2 pieces of whole grain toast. Um, what brand of bread do I get? Whatever's on sale. Because the price of bread is just ridiculous these days. So, like I said, whatever's on sale, whatever the cheapest whole grain is, either Brownberry or Pepperidge Farm, and then a little peanut butter on top of that,
The crunchy or soft?
soft.
Okay.
Yeah, creamy peanut butter for sure. Creamy peanut butter, and then a banana, and then I like my 2 hard boiled eggs, and
What's their names?
then no names, no names, 2 hard boiled eggs, some sort of berry, either a strawberry, raspberry, blackberry, blueberry. There's some sort of berry in there. Just kind of a nice sweet way to start the day with that. And then also I have a handful of almonds, my blue diamond almonds in the morning. And then another thing I've recently gotten into, because since I've been working out more consistently and actually walking a mile on the treadmill after my workouts and just walking a lot at work, I need to eat more. I get a Quaker brand chocolate rice cake and put peanut butter on top of that.
Okay. My dad's a big rice cake guy.
Yep.
He puts Greek yogurt over the top of his.
And then also sometimes a little honey on top of the
Ooh.
peanut butter too. And then so that's on the main plate. And then also even before I even have my breakfast, while I'm making it, glass of orange juice, simply calcium plus vitamin D, and then a glass of Fairlife chocolate milk.
Okay.
So
All right.
if anyone is wondering at home, that is Grant's normal breakfast on a daily basis.
All righty. Well, so after hearing that, now what's your most overrated breakfast food?
Overrated breakfast food. I hope my sister Miranda doesn't hear this because she's going to be upset. But just I feel like this breakfast is so bland, even when you try to add something to it. I'm gonna go oatmeal.
Okay.
It just
All right. Well.
seems a little pasty, and even if you try to add like some peanut butter or some granola over the top, um, it's still kind of pasty and bland. There's not much taste to it. Um, and it takes way it takes way too longer to make than what it actually should for how good it tastes. So just the time and the energy and the effort going into it, and just the lack of taste on there, I'm gonna go oatmeal.
Okay. All right. Well, I like my oatmeal. They say that is the best thing to eat to start the day. That gives you the most energy. When I do have lately, I haven't had a lot of time to make, or well, I shouldn't say time. I just haven't gotten out of bed
I was going to say, you just haven't woken up in time.
to make it. But that was my breakfast for a while. I've done the protein shakes with the chocolate with some PB2 and almond milk and ice. That was always I like that. Um, but yeah, the oatmeal for a while. That with strawberries and blueberries, and sometimes you just put a little bit of honey over it too. I enjoyed that. And then now I've been doing lately. It's been coffee and smarter greens, which is just like the powdered greens
Mm-hmm.
that like you just put in and you just froth it and drink it. And that's where you get your your vegetables and fruits for the day. Um, but and it's actually not terrible. It doesn't taste bad. Uh, I actually enjoy that even when I do get out of bed early enough to make my oatmeal. But
Kind of
most
like Jason Kelsey's his vegetable drink he has every day.
Yep, it's the same thing, but it's just
Different brand.
not as expensive as the as athletic greens we're talking about here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And well, and he doesn't have to pay for it anyways because it's a sponsor for the New Heights podcast.
And,
So if Athletic Greens hears this
and
and wants to advertise with us, please reach out. Let us know.
and also just the fact that Travis Jason Kelsey's a NFL player.
Well, I identify as an NFL player. I think you can do that now,
And
right?
I identify as a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. See, we just got to find our own truths. It doesn't matter what the actual truth is, as
As
long as it's
as
our
long as
truth.
it's our truth. All right,
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yep. I think that's how that works. I'm not exactly sure, but you know what? We'll roll with it. But
I don't.
back to overrated breakfast food for me.
I'm not hip with the times. I don't know.
Yeah. And for me, the most overrated breakfast food is cereal. Just I'm just
That's a
not a fan. I just doesn't do anything for me.
well, and
If I'm having a breakfast because I've just had jobs where I've had to wake up early in the morning for most of my life where I haven't really been able to like my adult life when I was going to school and everything. Yeah, I was able to eat breakfast, but like once I started entering into the adult world, like I had jobs where I had to be to work at 5 a.m. So like there wasn't, it was either sleep or eat. So I just would never really get a lot for breakfast food. And if I was eating breakfast, it was a big deal where I was getting pancakes, French toast, waffles, eggs, oatmeal now. Um, so and cereal for whatever reason it just never did anything for me.
it's funny you mentioned that because you eat a bowl of cereal is kind of like I'll compare it when you go to like Panda Express or Leanne Chin. It's okay and it fills you up at the time, but a half hour later you're hungry again.
Well, and that's the other thing too is it never really filled me up.
Never fills you up. Yeah, you can never just have just a bowl of cereal. You always got to have something else on there too.
Yep.
Whether it's maybe a bagel on the side or an English muffin, maybe some toast, but just if you wake up and just have a bowl of cereal by 9 o'clock, your stomach's going to be churning, and you're going to be saying this was a huge mistake.
Correct. So that's all we got. You got anything else?
Just an exciting. Well, you know what I should have said is the most overrated um, breakfast, just to spite Ethan because he's not here and he's getting a puppy tonight. Is I should have said French toast. Just 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 out of the pure spite for Mr. Price there, who if he probably had French toast the rest of his life for every single meal, he would die a happy man.
I think I would too. I like French toast. Granted, I like most things, so
That's fair.
you know.
And
But
don't get me wrong, I like a lot of food too, Dylan. We've talked a lot of food tonight, but my problem is I'm just so goddamn lazy. I don't want to put the time and energy into making a meal. So then I'm just like, I'll just go with something quick and simple that I know every day.
Yep. Well, I made walleye tonight.
Uh,
I
there we go.
found a recipe on TikTok, and it was oven baked. So what I did was is thawed the walleye out, and I still have like 2 or 3 more bags left. I need to eat that before that gets freezer burned. And I put it in a baking sheet, sprayed it. I poured lemon juice on it, and then I seasoned it with Jack Stack barbecue from Kansas City
Oh, there we go.
with the everything seasoning, which is like my favorite seasoning. I've used it with everything. I've put it on steak lately. Oh,
Hence,
best steak I've had in a while.
hence the name, everything.
Yep. And that salt and pepper, and you use bacon up as a binder,
Oh, there you go.
and incredible flavor. And then you use butter to as like your to cook it with, and then you just baste it. It's so good.
Doesn't sound half bad.
It's tender. It's incredible. The only issue is I don't have a gas stove where so and I use a cast iron with it, so it kind of gets a little bit kind of scratches my oven,
Mm.
which is kind of annoying, but it's worth it. And but back to that, and then I put some breadcrumbs. I had some like salmon seasoning my mom got me a while back,
Hmm.
and then with some uh, this like garlic lovers seasoning, and I kind of just mixed it up, and then I poured the breadcrumbs over the top, and then I put butter, like I thinly sliced butter on top of it, and then I baked it in the oven for like 45 minutes, and I probably could have gotten away with it being like closer to 35 to 37 minutes, but I went 45 because that's kind of what I found, and I said I'll go with it. But
Well,
it was
fish only needs to be cooked to an internal temperature of 145.
yeah. Well, and I think it was 45 minutes, and it was good. It was nice and flaky. Um, I probably coated it with too much of the breadcrumbs,
Okay.
but because it was and judging by it, it was probably a little more crunchier than it should have been. But it was really good. The butter and all the flavor that came with it, it was pretty good. And I
Well,
got some leftovers for it, so
well, good deal.
yeah. So that's all we got for this week, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Check us out on all of our social media platforms. Go give us a follow, a like, share, tell your friends, and follow us on YouTube. We'll be posting the segments of the show on Friday. And thank you for listening. Thank you guys again for listening. That's all we got, and we'll talk to you next week.